All right, keep it seriously simple. Module 3, get into the charts to show us some real examples of how we're establishing support and resistance and how to trade it. So I want you to think of the market in terms of indecision versus decision. So if we start noticing range conditions, if it's a slight channel or a slight channel or a sideways channel, we are identifying tradable indecision zones. And the reason this becomes an indecision zone is we're clearly not seeing aggressive trends. I mean, this is a very decisive move from lows to highs, very little pullbacks, decision, little pause, decision for the most part. We top out, decision, little pause, decision. So we have a big move up, big move down, big move up, big move down, little pause right here. I mean, the market is constantly giving us phases of decision moves and indecision moves. Is there a perfect formula to identify support resistance all the time and never be wrong? No, we really just have to look at price and follow price. So this is one particular currency pair. It's in the Forex market. This is pound Canadian dollar. We had this big move to the downside. So look, we have this low to high followed by a little bit of structure right here. Now we could zoom into this window. We can identify consolidation. And again, this becomes the talking point of where we establish our point 1, point 2, point 3. Again, you can connect the highs. See that we have a little bit of structure. You can trade possibly 3 down to 4. And you're looking for, again, equal lows around point 2. But remember, if you look at the context of this low to high, we also want to be considering buying point 4 and buying point 6. And why would we do that? Because if this is decision and the bulls are in control, we have low to high resistance and support that we're looking to buy in continuation. And you can see that shortly after that, we actually have a breakout. Can you see how price, I mean, if I delete all this drawing, can you see how price from right here just decides to break out? I mean, we have equal highs right here. We have equal lows right here. And it is when price breaks out that we continue with that direction. And in fact, we break up, we come back and retest not once, but twice, and still continue to push to a higher high, pull back, higher high. Now, just to put this in context, as far as the pip movement, I mean, we're talking about a breakout here that runs over 800 pips to the upside. So if you're looking for opportunity, there is certainly no shortage of it by just identifying some really simple structures. So we have, same thing here, we have this big push to the upside. If you look far enough left, and this actually is an extremely interesting chart for this reason, and again, it's stuff like this that we notice all the time. Look for these lows. You have a low established right here. Go back to the previous high. So we have this high and this low. I look at this as these levels will be useful in helping us establish future levels of resistance and support. And you can see right here, we have this high, this low. It's an intermediate high, so we're not exactly selling from this current level or this established high. But guess what price does? We come right back down to the what? To the lows. We have a double bottom. We have a nice fake out. This is where traders, again, get suckered into selling at the lows. Because what happens? Price breaks below the low briefly, and then within a couple of days, reverses. In fact, this is a daily chart. We have one fake out. There's actually a gap to the downside, and then it's bullish on the way up, and we have a reversal pattern. A little bit of indecision right here, but these lows off of this double bottom, traders, this is support, right? You have a high right there at resistance. You have a low right here at support. This is a level to buy from. This is a level to sell from. So what happens? We have a reversal pattern right here, little consolidation. Price again breaks to the upside, pulls back and retests, continues back to where? Not just this resistance, not just this resistance, but all the way back here where we already had several touches. Now, you know, we're not in control of this. We are just jumping in and participating, but identifying some structure helps. But look what happens. You know, we go from equal lows of support. We have a nice reversal pattern, nice bullish move, bullish trend to the upside, a little bit of pausing, establishing some short-term structure, breaking up again to the upside. So if we're buying low, we have an opportunity to do just that right here. We can buy low right there. If we're selling high, can we do that right here? Now, yes, you're looking at this daily chart, and sure, it violates this resistance. But really, once we start coming, it clearly does not break, retest, and go higher. We fail to have any continuation. So once we started to curl back down below what was resistance, and now price is back below it, look at what price does. It respects the high right here. So we have this breakdown, this retest of what was resistance is now resistance once again. And where do we fall? We fall all the way back down to support. So we go from resistance to support. So this is 0.1, this is 0.2. Okay, now we don't establish that third point here, but we do. In fact, I'm going to call this point number 3. Let me actually draw some lines on this. So this actually would be 0.1 because we have a high, 0.2 because we have a low. Now we're looking for 0.3 to be up here, but because price fails to come all the way back up, this becomes point number 3 because it's an equal low. So we're either retesting resistance or retesting support. That is our level to establish a buy trade or a sell trade. So we come back down to equal lows and we buy low. And from there, this actually becomes 0.4 because we come right back up to resistance. So 1, 2, 3 is the double bottom, a nice little reversal pattern, and 4 to the upside. Now, again, worst case scenario, right? Worst case scenario is that traders are selling up here, and let's say that price goes up. And again, this is no slow move. I mean, this is a couple hundred pips. We break above 76, we go to roughly 78. Now, that's probably enough movement above for traders to second guess where their stop loss is, and that's fine. I would do the same thing, right? I mean, if we're 200 pips above resistance, I would think, you know what? If this bounces here, we should look to go long. But what happens? We don't bounce, right? We break, we come back down and close back below and establishing, in fact, reestablishing this resistance. And we come back and retest and we reverse. And the best part is we come all the way back down here to support. So we have equal low, equal low, equal low. Traders, you can't get a better opportunity than that to buy low. And this starts the move all over again. We go from this low to high. We have a little indecision right here. That is a nice continuation pattern to the upside. We pull back again. We go up again. We pull back again. We go up again. We pull back briefly here. We go up again. Now, I love the fact that we came all the way back there. This really good support, this is previous support, becomes future resistance. Again, traded on up. We're looking at profit levels in here. I mean, this is a established resistance point. So getting from these lows to these highs, this is a fantastic trade right there. The fact that we break and go higher, this is a point for the bulls. This is a point for the bulls. We go a smidge higher, and then again, we come back in, pull back, go down. Can you see what price constantly does over and over? We just keep establishing support and resistance levels. Okay? If I fast forward over here, we have a high to low, a high to low. Now again, keep in mind, I'm just going to use some horizontal lines here. Let's establish this support, and let's establish this resistance. And now we're watching some pretty significant levels where price is clearly behaving. Intermediately, I'll put one more in here. We have a lot of turns right around this low. This is support. This is resistance. You see plenty of turns right in there. And look what price does. We go from this resistance, come back in, pull back, go through support and resistance once again. We establish support, support, support. This is what I'm talking about. So from this high to low, we have a touch. Okay, so we have a touch here, we have a touch here. Now, if we just simply connect a couple of lows just like this, and we connect a couple of highs just like this. Now, I want you to tell me if you can anticipate where price is able to be traded. So if we have these lows to these highs, that's point number 1, and I'll label this. This is point number 1. This is point number 2. What can we trade here? Hopefully all you can see that we're trading point number 3, and then point number 4, and point number 5, and point number 6, and we're looking for point number 7. And what you'll start to notice is as more and more traders start getting on board with pending orders or buy trades at the lows and sell trades at the highs, typically the market will shift ever so slightly where it comes either a little bit lower or just off of those lows or highs. So in other words, what it looks like is this. If we see that we have equal lows, equal lows, equal lows, you notice how we're starting to get slightly higher lows here? Do you notice how we're starting to get slightly higher highs here? So, I'm establishing a really solid level of horizontal support resistance, but you can see that structure is slightly changing. Now, it's still consolidation. It's still indecision, but we're looking at subtleties here. So instead of perfectly sideways movement, we're going to have a trade like this instead. So I'm going to take this trend line, and I'm going to take this trend line. And I'm just going to connect the highs and extend this, and the lows and extend this. And what you will notice is we have opportunities to continue to buy and sell. So we have equal lows to buy from. We establish this is our first high. We come back and retest and fail. We come back and retest and fail. I love that we could sell it right here. We see resistance. We see resistance. We see resistance. One of these we should be selling, right? Equal highs, intermediate structure. We sell one of those highs. We take it right back down to where? Support. And from there, because we have equal lows we hold, we buy, we take it where? Right back to resistance. We see the rejection. Look at this indecision candle. This is actually a great bearish candlestick formation to sell. Where do we take it? Right back down to support. And we're protecting profits a majority of the way. It doesn't have to come all the way back down to these lows. It doesn't have to come all the way back to these highs. If you're 75, 80, 90% of the way to these lows or these highs, you should be protecting profit. Okay, so we have all these structured levels to sell from. So we're buying low, we're selling high, we're buying low, we're selling high, we're buying low, we're selling high. Again, just look at all this great stuff. There's another equal high right there. Resistance, resistance. Sell that double top. Great setup. We go straight down, pull back a little bit, straight down again to where? Equal lows. We can buy low. Okay, let's fast forward. So we're going to fast forward. Where do we go? There's a high, there's a high, there's a high, there's high. I mean, you're connecting the highs, you're connecting the dots. What do we have right there? That is where traders get faked out. Now, again, I acknowledge that this is not some easy rejection. This trade went up 167 pips above what we identified as resistance. But look at the size of that wick to the north. That is a large fake run back to previous support and resistance and a rejection back down, and what happens afterwards? We go from this support to resistance. We have a nice big fake out, come all the way back down, and this is where traders are starting to notice that more structure is identified. So support, 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 support. We have just off of the lows. It's not exactly at the lows, and I know this because I was buying it right here. I had a pending buy right there at that equal low. I didn't get filled. Instead, I had to get into a smaller time frame and trade this reversal pattern back up. So I traded there. Once we got back up to this high, I was starting to work some sell trades. So the structure is fairly straightforward. We're just trusting that we're trading support and resistance. If the pattern trades and changes and we start getting major breakouts, then sure, we have to change our course. We have to look at trends and breakouts. But price continues to test and give us signs that, I mean, even right here, look, it's a bullish candle followed by indecision, indecision, indecision. You notice that the bulls fail to take out this previous high? Do you notice that they fail to close above this previous high? It's just another level of resistance. And so we have all this indecision followed by a bearish candlestick, which brings it back into what level? It brings us back into this structure once again, this resistance. Price pushes back down into this range. We are selling it here. So we can sell stop area above. You can see you have a nice reward opportunity back down to some intermediate lows. Again, if it's a halfway point, that's not a bad spot for a target or a profit level. That's the halfway point of this range. If we take it all the way down, then we're going for the full load of profits. All right, so what happens? We stop halfway. We don't go all the way back down. What happens here? Now, again, and this is, I'm not going to say that I did this perfectly, but look, it's pretty straightforward. If we went from this resistance and we had price come all the way back down, well, that's an easy sell trade, and this is an easy buy trade. But price is clearly gravitating towards some new levels. We have those horizontal levels we've already established. One thing that we can do right here is we can reconnect our highs. You know, see if we're missing anything. We can reconnect. You know, we have highs right here, but look what happens. If we connect these highs, I'm going to just go ahead and extend this. Extend this line. Boom. What happens there? You notice where the shift in price went? It's actually just using the wick highs. So we have this high to this high. Now, yes, we had horizontal levels there to buy and sell from, but once we establish, I mean, there's another rejection that helps encapsulate or explain that resistance. Same thing here. Same thing here. So even though this was going higher than these levels, yes, there's a slight breakout. Yes, it's brief, but we're struggling a lot to go much higher. And with this context and this structure, this is a great level of support, great level of support, great level of support. I think if we connect those highs and lows and we make a little adjustment, so we're going to take these lows right here and connect the dots and extend. So if we are looking to sell high, this is what we want to do. We want to sell this structure. We want to sell this structure up here or anything slightly higher. We can trade it to intermediate support and resistance. We can trade it all the way back down to where those bears can score points, or all the way back down, of course, to our lows of support. So we're still interested in selling high and buying low. All right, so let's keep an eye on this one. Do we have an opportunity to sell high? Price comes back up to where? Price comes back up to very close to the same highs. Right there. So does it come all the way back up to these highs? No, it does not. But does it come back up into intermediate highs where we have all this resistance around 7,700 on this particular instrument? Yes. We come back to those levels right in here. Establish a nice rejection. Okay, and this is what my trading plan was. I looked at this as we're going to sell it here and we're going to sell it here. You know, we trade small, we work the area, and we focus on selling high, which in this case would be selling high from here. We would sell it high here. We would sell it high here. If it goes up a little bit higher, we'd sell it high there. Look, you're trading small enough, you can provide some wiggle room. This is only a couple hundred pips. I mean, 7,700 to 7,900, if you're trading small, it's not that much risk because you're planning on structure resistance to give us a chance to come back down to where? Structure support, or as we connected these lows, structure support. And look what price does. We find equal highs to sell from. It doesn't go any higher. This trade falls straight down. It's just support and resistance. Okay, but it's the three, you know, I'm not going to say it's a rule, but it's the three touches that I'm looking for. I want to establish a low, establish a high, and then I'm anticipating some levels. I am trying to look for equal lows to buy from, equal highs to sell from. And then once we get, you know, that third or fourth or fifth touch, things start to change because traders start to catch on. So yes, there will be some slight adjustments, right? But depending on the currency pair, depending on the volatility, depending on what the move is. I mean, we had this giant decision, and now it's just a lot of indecision that takes place. So conditions will change. I mean, it is not always easy to change your mind and go from support and resistance or structure trading to trend trading. But in other videos and other modules, we'll talk about breakouts and trends and how to follow along and protect those profits. But we're constantly shape-shifting into decision and indecision cycles. This video is all about support and resistance and following some intraday structure. You can do the same thing on a smaller time frame. If I go down to a 1 hour chart, okay, 1 hour chart right here, what do we have? We have some equal lows. Okay, now look, equal lows, we see a lot of equal lows, we see a lot of equal lows. I'm looking at this, this is what I see. I see a really nice price pattern emerging because we go from this big move up, this big move down, and then we have a lot of indecision. Now, within this indecision on a smaller time frame, can you buy and sell from that? Sure, but you're looking at a range of maybe 100, 150 pips. So if you're accurate enough, you can certainly buy low and sell high and change directions, but this is my trade. My trade is establish a direction and establish a bias. If we've gone from this high to this low and we're showing an imbalance, high to low consolidation, rather than trying to buy and sell and buy and sell and buy and sell constantly, what I do instead is I look for opportunities to buy low buy low, and try to get something back here. You notice how we have all this previous structure? We have previous support, we have a low right here, we have a high right here. What does price do? We go from equal low, slightly lower low, but still consolidation. We're starting to get a bit of a falling wedge. We're starting to get more extremes to the downside. That imbalance, price comes right back to it. All right? So it's stuff like that that I like to see. I mean, you can see the structure. You can almost tell that price is coiling to these levels, right? All this indecision and price just coils. We have this low, higher low, and then blast off to the upside. And where does it go? It goes right back to where we established some previous structure in here. All right, so there's always price patterns. Again, keep an eye out for those other videos. I'm going to talk all about price patterns and how we can trade them. This is a great falling wedge. We have falling wedges, rising wedges, double tops, double bottoms, flags, crowns, head and shoulders patterns, all sorts of good stuff. And where do we place our trades? How do we take those profits? How do we measure these moves? That's in future videos. So I just want to spend some time on the charts, showing some structure, higher time frames, lower time frames. This is Forex. We could go to cryptos and show the exact same thing. I could go into futures and show the same thing. Here, in fact, just for the last chart, I'll go into cryptos. Here is Bitcoin. Okay, day in and day out, you know, currencies, range-bound, cryptocurrencies, range-bound, currency pairs, range-bound. Look at the higher time frame. Okay, we have this, I mean, talk about indecision becoming decision. Look at this. I mean, this is indecision like crazy. And then we finally do what? We finally break that indecision right here. We finally break the indecision, establish this monster trend, and from there we have this large decisive run, and then we spend the rest of the time showing structured support and resistance levels, where we have something like this, connect the highs, connect the lows. You don't have to be a buyer and a seller, but pick something. Because what traders fail to recognize is if this is what the market's giving us, traders fail to take advantage of any trading opportunities because they just expect there to be a trend. Like, oh, there was a trend, I need to trade the trend again. Well, where are you going to get it? You know, this is decision, indecision. We're at the mercy of the market. So this was all a long correction phase, but now we're starting to finally break. This is your confirmation right here. So we're starting to break, and we're starting to hopefully see some more decision to the upside. So if we are lucky enough, and again, trends don't really come out of thin air. If you see indecision followed by decision, that's typically going to be a trend. Once we have established a trend and we have some really sharp high, more than likely the market's going to have some type of consolidation or indecision. So, you know, enjoy the trends when you get them, because more than likely what's going to follow is range conditions. Survive the range conditions, take advantage of them, don't be afraid to trade them, but just be on the lookout for that clean structure. Ultimately, when our indecision is done, then our trends and our decision starts back up. All right, but this market is tradable. You know, we can map out the markets, we can follow price action. If we're adaptable between decision and indecision zones and cycles, we trade it. But at the end of the day, we're just looking to buy low, we're looking to sell high, and keep it seriously simple. All right, traders, I'll see you in the next video. Hey everybody, this is Chris. Thanks for watching the video. Just a friendly reminder, you can follow me out there on social media on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. Just look up my name or look up my handle. And thanks for watching. All this education is for you to learn. Give me some comments, feedbacks, likes, and subscribe to my channels, and more videos coming your way. So see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Take care.